allowed the emancipated slaves to stay on their land. In some cases, they worked 2 days a week on the owner's plots, and the owner gave them the plot, not for them to be granted, but for them to work for their own on the other 3 days, or 3.5 days, because you actually worked a half day on the Saturday night. And, or they would let them farm the land, and 1/3 of the crop went to the owners, and 1/3, 2/3 sure went to the person who farmed the land. So it was either by days or by shares. Now there were some African freehold landowners before the end of slavery. A lot of people don't realize that African people buying land before the end of slavery couldn't vote. They could buy land. We had a guy named William Brown. He was the first catechist of the association before since the building in Brown. Parcels, and on one of his parcels he had a building which was large enough to house 100 people. Yet the St. Stephen's Anglican Church started in his building. And he was the first catechist, although the church had no money at the time to pay him. So from 1849 until 1951, when the church was built, they held their services in William Brown's. And Prince Clare, as I said, he had bought the freedom of his sons and himself before the end of slavery, and 100 acres of land at the junction of 8 Mile Rock and where you enter into the settlement. He apparently either died or didn't pay his rent and got taken away later on in the, I think it was Act 9th of Victoria, which was the Commutation Act. When you didn't pay your rent, his rent was, peppercorn rent was Bahamas wide at the time, not limited to Nassau as it is now. And if you didn't pay your rent, somebody else came along and paid your rent. You got the land. If you paid a portion of your peppercorn rent, and at the time when I think it was Governor Matthew came in, he was given a bonus for collecting this rent. So he apparently, I'm told, jumped the gun. And even though it wasn't supposed to start until 1849, he started it in 1847 and finished it by the 1849. So Prince Clare lost his whole 100 acres to a guy named Darius who paid the peppercorn rent in 1849. So after he did all of that, he lost it. Sarah Thompson was a black woman and slave woman. Black slave woman, even though she only had one slave, 69 years old. She owned 230 acres and one slave in Grand Bahamas. Benjamin Lightman. Now, William Brown had the building, Benjamin Lightman had the land, gave up a piece of the land. Now, unlike Prince Clare, Benjamin Lightman lost only a piece of his property in the commutation, so he paid some of it. But before losing it to commutation in 1849, he gave a piece to the Anglican Church, and St. Stephen's Parish, which still stands today, was built on the piece he gave to St. Stephen's Parish. Charles Williams is described in the slave register as a man of color. He had about 7 slaves during the whole of slavery, and just like the white slave owners, his slaves ran away from him. We find that at least 3 of his slaves ran away, but somehow he recaptured them and made sure that they were on the list at 1834 so he could be paid for them at the end of slavery. Now, there's a guy named William Mills in Abaco. We're going to see that Cedar Harbor is an important place in Abaco, and he ended up with about 1,200 acres. And when we see what Cedar Harbor was important for, we find out that Cedar Harbor, the 2 families still living there, are the Mills and the Russells. So, though we get names of who were living, was one of the 5 families in Abaco. Cedar Harbor, Abaco was settled by 5 liberated African families who made application to the control of customs in 1832. This is before emancipation. So obviously their time had run up before emancipation. They made application to control of customs. He said, wherever you find crown land, let me know. They found some crown land, and these 5 families come up in the reports when the special justice are going about looking for land for the rest of the emancipated slaves in 1835. The newly freed slaves of John Russell would request land in the same place. And as I said, they split the Cedar Harbor, even though there are many families, the 2 most predominant names. And you know, going through there, the mills will tell you that they came through Place and Takers Islands. I have a feeling that if you met the Place and came back. Now, all were being encouraged to settle in Grand Taylor Key instead, because that's where they had stayed. But obviously, neither family wanted to go back in Grand Taylor Key. Believe it or not, the white families in Grand Taylor Key got titles to their land the same time as the settlements were being made in 1835. As a matter of fact, by 1837, all the families of Grand Taylor Key are saying, thanking the government in a petition for granting them the land. Apparently, they initially came from Harbor Island and settled on Grand Taylor Key after things. I think there was a hurricane or something around about 1811 that kind of devastated the whole that's how we started to back in. Some of the Harbor Island people that married out of it was a nice one. Now, if you read the summary, you would see that we say some of this is affecting what's happening today. Well, and some of the private owners did things that affected the policy through this time. Through this 30 to 40 year time. Robert Sanders, he championed ownership over shares, working for shares, or plots in exchange for the 2 days of labor. He based this on the Scottish tenancy system, and he felt that the parcels should be anywhere from 1 to 10 acres.